Good to see y'all. Again, like we talked about a couple of days ago, really got into the game planning with the staff and introduced Louisville to the team on yesterday in our meetings and then on the field. We were able to go out and have a good practice yesterday for a couple hours out in the stadium, and we probably 4 periods of good scout work versus Louisville, and we have 3 periods of good on good work versus ourselves, which is what we like to do. I mean, it's kind of a mixed practice yesterday. It was an intro practice, but it was also, still that far away from the game, so it was kind of a mix of a, Sunday/Tuesday practice. So we got some good on good work in, which I think is a good way to keep the team sharp throughout the season. So, had some team run and some blitz pickups and pass pro 7-on-7, some different types of situational things that were good on good, and then did some different introduction, normal down things versus Louisville. So it was a good day to get out there, and the guys are tired of going against each other right now. So to be able to mix up a little thing, some things and change it up, but it's also the first day that as a full staff we've been together going into a game prep week. So from my standpoint, it was a lot of really paying attention to how the things were going and how the structure was, and people in the right places doing the right things, and the organizational part of that. And then that'll change again tomorrow when we head down, and like we will most days, we'll be down at Rose Bowl. So just making sure that the practice flows right and we're getting the most out of it, and being able to get our guys on and off the field and still in time to get ready to shower up and have lunch and have a little bit of time before they start up classes. So really good thing, academic staff here was great, and this off season we were able to manage some things, and the professors on campus of being able to allow us to push our classes back, really starting in the afternoon, as opposed to some of them last year started earlier in the day, and caused us to have to go out very early and start meetings really early in the morning. So really appreciative of our academic staff here, as well as the professors and the people on campus that have worked with us to be able to get those days pushed back a little bit for our kids, so we get good work in the morning, and then still have a full time for those guys to get their academic work and their study hall in. So that was a real big plus for us, and it really will be moving forward. So I really appreciate that, and I'm grateful to them for it. But now it's a game plan day today. As a staff, we'll come back out Friday, Saturday, and really hit a Tuesday type practices on those 2 days, and then as we start rolling into the week, we know we're one day ahead. So you're playing that game right now of, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesdays and Wednesday, and it's not as much backed up from the day of the game. It's what you're game planning. Certain situations going on Tuesday practice, certain situations going in on a Wednesday practice. So that's the game you're playing. It's more of the organization of the what situations and what things you're practicing those days than it is truly, there's this many days from the game and this when you play on a Friday. So that's the organizational part that as coaches we're working with, and making sure we get the right work, get enough work, but also we have the ability to go out next Friday night and play as fast and physical as we possibly can when the time's there. So with that, open it up to questions. He's always first. No, you can't. He's always first.
With Ken being back, I think we like Ken.
Let's go, Ken. Ken, the honorary jump in front of Kelly.
Right.
So.
Well, Kelly, what do you want me to ask?
Well, you hadn't been around, so I mean, hey, did you hear the news the other day? Ken,
what's that?
Did you hear the news the other day? Or you're not going to ask about the quarterback situation, are you?
Yeah.
You're not going to ask about the quarterback situation.
I guess I am. Yeah. Well, else will be here. I know how much toughness is you value it, and not just you, but the staff. And I'm curious, what has Haynes shown, particularly in that regard, that you saw?
Yeah, he's a tough kid. I mean, toughness at that quarterback position, it's mental toughness. It's being able to put a bad play behind and move on to the next play. And look, both of those guys, have a truly high level of toughness, and physical toughness and mental toughness. And so that was a lot that went into the evaluation, but that was not something that set one over the other. But what does he have? The ability to put a play away, the ability to move on, to the next play, and that's important at that position. The ability to have adversity hit and be able to walk up the next play to the group, whether it's in a huddle or at the line of scrimmage, and they have a cool demeanor about them, because that's how everybody feeds off of them. To be able to, be positive, but at the same time be able to get after people when it's time to get after people, and on the sideline, in practice, all those things are things that he possesses that we're excited to move forward with.
Now, Kelly.
I'm just curious how that's in Ken's honor. The offensive line, just have you settled on a 5 and kind of is it even a rotation maybe where you may rotate guys in during games or kind of what the plan is there?
In a perfect world, yeah, there's 5 guys and there's the continuity and they play together, but we know that's never going to happen in a season. It never, very, very, very rarely has it ever happened in a season. As far as setting a rotation, saying this guy's going to play 2 series, this guy's going to play 1 series, look, this isn't the YMCA. Best guys are going to go out there and play, and if there's guys that are equal at that, 5th best, 6th best, 7th best lineman, well, yeah, now you are going to be able to play them because, those guys being able to be fresh and working together. But look, our job is to find and identify and develop the best guys to be out on that field, and that's what we plan on doing. Not only Friday night, but come this season.
Okay.
So Jeff Brom, of course, new head coach over at Louisville. How do you weigh film study from what he was at Purdue versus what Louisville was last year? Like, what's your strategy for that?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of them is personnel based, and one of them is schematic, coaching, play calling based, and really brought both sides of the ball. The staffs came with him, so yeah, Jeff's coached a lot of football and called a lot of plays in his career, so it's no secret what he's going to do and what type of offense they're going to run. Whether it's what they were the last couple of years at Purdue or going back to the Western Kentucky, or he's come up in a system. It's a system he believes in. It's a system that works. It's a system that has answers, and he knows what the answers are, and he does a tremendous job calling plays. Now, like any good football coach, he's going to also tailor that to the personnel that he has. So, you're not going to, try to put a square peg in a round hole if it doesn't fit. So, yeah, there's the part of bringing your scheme in, but also being, diverse enough within your scheme, all right, and multiple enough within your scheme to fit the personnel that you have. And that's the thing with them. They brought, I think it's 26 transfers in. So, you might look at, Louisville film for personnel, but there's also, 18, 19, 20 different schools these guys have been at. So you're also making cut-ups and looking at different schools for different player tendencies and different strengths and weaknesses of individual players, as well as the schematic part of it as well.
Right.
You look at Louisville's offensive line. I believe they have 3 senior transfers that are scheduled to start. Is chemistry an issue there, or has experience overcome that chemistry issue?
Yeah. Because I have no clue what type of chemistry they've had built. I know they've got 3 returning starters from their team last year. They got 3 really good players. I mean, center's a good player. Gonzalez has been a really good player for them. The other one's Renato Brown, good football player. And then they've brought in some guys that have some size and some experience playing as well. So, I don't know how they're going to settle out to their 5. I don't know how many if they're going to play 6 or 7. I do know the guy in the middle that snaps the ball is a daggum good football player. And anytime you've got a center like that, kind of like we do with a guy that's got returning starting experience, it's a little bit easier to put those pieces in when you've got a leader in the middle that guys can listen to and rally around.
Chad.
Dominic Blaylock, what kind of camp has he had? What sort of role do you envision for him in the offense?
Yeah, he's been solid. He really has. It's like I said the other day, we have 6 to 8 receivers that we're going to play. You really want to lean heavy on 6 guys. That 7th and 8th, I mean, they pop up really fast. They've also got to have special teams value. Dom is as solid all-around football player as we have at the receiver group. Really excited for him to be here. Just his experience in big games, his calm demeanor that he has in the receiver room is a major positive. And everything he does, there's just a calm demeanor about it. And when you have that amount of experience playing the position, but also playing in big football games, just a knack for being able to understand coverage, to get open, to secure the catch. Everybody doesn't have to run 4-3 to be a great player, and I think he's got a chance to really help us this year. Excited.
With special teams, just have you guys kind of narrowed down in terms of kicker and some return guys and kind of have a plan there?
Yeah, we do. We do. We do. Now we've got a lot of guys that are capable in the return game, and that's been the double-edged sword. Is really okay. You've got 3 guys that can be effective punt returners. 4 guys that can be effective punt returners. You've got 5, 6 guys, 7 guys that can be effective kick returners. Some of them are older, some of them are younger. All right, so let's, now it's been putting them in the pressure positions to see when the pressure is really on them, when things, when it's not the perfect kick, when it's not this, the perfect conditions. How are they going to react to it? How are they going to, make sure they secure the catch? Because look, everybody wants a punt returner that's going to get 10+ yards every return. Everyone wants a kick returner that might go to the house, but I want a guy that's going to secure the ball, secure the football, and secure the possession for us. Right? Everything else from there, that becomes the bonus on top of it.
Okay.
Dante Smith, of course, was named to the Doak Walker watch list. What do you see that backfield looking like as the season unfolds? Like, do you see Trey Cooley? How many other guys do you see really getting meaningful carries throughout the game?
Yeah, there's 5 guys that we've worked in preseason camp. The nature of that position, like I talked about on Tuesday, it's a position that you get banged up at. Just look what's going on in the last 4 to 5 months in the National Football League at that position, and you've got to have a stable of guys. At some different point in time in camp, all 5 of those guys have been running with the 1s and running with the 2s, and so truly they all have unique skill sets that can be beneficial at different times in the game, different situations in the game. But at the end of the day, when the ball's put in your hand, you got to make sure that the ball is in your hand when you get up to. So ball security is the number one thing we're always going to look at. Ability to make a play, in the passing game, make a play, make a man miss in the run game. Be able to be a matchup player when the time comes, and whether it's passing or a run game, being able to play multiple and be multiple with that position. So we've got a lot of guys that can do that, and I do expect it to be a running back by committee. So when you guys get the depth chart, it might say Dante and then say and then say or.
Okay.
I'm curious, I think you said you met individually with Zach and Haynes, and I'm curious, how did you see Zach respond to that, and kind of what's kind of out there for him next?
Yeah, I mean, he was pissed. I mean, no different than any of us would be. That's what I like. That's what I love about him, right? That's why we recruited him here, and that's why Zach Pyron's going to be a great player. There's no question in my mind about that, right? When you're a competitor and you've given almost everything, within the game of football to be at that spot to win that position, look, there's only one of them. There's only one of that position on the field, right? It's the most glorified position and also the most scrutinized position. Okay, so he responded exactly how I expected him to respond, right? He did, and there's a fire in people's eyes that when you look into it, right? Some people become emotional, some people become fiery, right? And that's him. But look, I don't expect anything to change when it comes to the way Zach Pyron has prepared, the way Haynes King is prepared. Both those guys are in the position they're in right now because they pushed each other. Right? And I do not expect that to change one bit.
Their defense last year led the league in sacks. What kind of challenge do you see for your offensive line and also for your running back, who's going to be a big part of keeping them off of Haynes?
Yeah, well, they have 2 defensive linemen, I believe. It was that good football players and really they can affect the quarterback. And look, when you look at a defensive line, it's not always the stats that show up. It's not always how many sacks they have. It's how many times have they affected the quarterback? How many times have they caused the quarterback to move off his spot and scramble and change the game? How many times if they've gotten into the backfield in the run game, the running back has to bounce the ball and go go where it's not designed to go, and now someone else gets the glory for it. So now scheme-wise, they're in a different scheme. Okay, they're playing a totally different type of football. But I don't expect what they're going to do. I don't expect them not to be aggressive. I don't expect good football coaches not to use the talents that they're good at. And they've got some talented guys. They got some talented guys in the front. that have the ability to get in the backfield. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a good challenge for us. And then, depending on what type of things we have with the running backs, I mean, I'm going to tell you now, I mean, we're going to be empty the whole time, and running backs aren't going to be back there, so it'll be all empty spread, 5-man protection. All right, and then we are in the backfield. We're just going to free release them every time, so we don't have to worry about pass pro with the running backs now.
Time for a couple more for Coach. Go.
With the edge position, 3 guys have played, plus you have some guys that can probably play both sides.
Yeah.
Just kind of what are you seeing there, and kind of what's has anyone stepped out a little bit?
They've really all had their opportunities. They've all played with the first group. They've all played with the second group. It's kind of like the running back position. You've got a lot of guys. You've got a lot of guys with experience. I think Kevin Harris has really had a good camp. Kevin has really shown flashes of a guy that can impact a football game. He's becoming more and more consistent doing it. I mean, I've been really proud of Kevin and really excited with how he's come along. Then you have Kyle Kennard, you have Noah Collins, who are playing in a rush spot. Right? So to be able to have guys that all can do different things but play at the same position. I mean, then you have guys at the other spot that can bounce both sides. You have guys at the rush can bounce over and play in. When you look at that and you say, okay, well, we have a group of defensive linemen now, and the depth of the defensive line, there's not anybody that's going to be out there and have to play 70 plays in a game. You're not going to have people that are playing 60 plays, and now the critical times in the game, they're tired or they're mentally tired, and now a mistake occurs, or whether it be a late hit or a jumping off sides, or being in the wrong gap or running the wrong assignment. When guys are fresh, they're going to be when their bodies are fresh in a game, they're going to be a lot more mentally fresh, especially at that position, because the effort they have to play with every play. It's a different type of effort than any other position. So we're fortunate to have a lot of guys, not just the rush, not just the end, but really all across the front now that we'll be able to play this year.
Anything else for Coach? Ken, you want to wrap this up?
Always the last. It's
what
like
they
old
do.
times.
It's like I never left. You mentioned Paul the other day, Mawala, and you sounded really excited about him. Curious,
Yeah.
what have you seen, and kind of what chances do you have to play regularly?
Very good. Very good. Now, Paul's had a really good camp. What have I seen from him? I see maturity. I see experience. I see a level-headed guy. I see a leader. I see a guy that impacts others around him, not just what he says, but how he does everything, how he goes about his business, on the field, off the field, how he handles himself in the locker room, how he handles himself on the field. The way he's been able to positively affect Trent has been outstanding. To see the communication with those two and how they're with each other on the sidelines. And he's played a lot of ball. He's played a lot of ball. He's got his durability. He's been able to play a lot of games, play at a very good level, right? Play at a, different. He can play both spots. He's got a good knack in coverage. He understands coverage. He understands his strengths and his weaknesses. I think that's really important at that position. And then to be able to diagnose plays and act to slip blocks, but also be able to come up and front somebody up with their hands and get off a block and go to make a play. And that's what you look for. You look for guys that there's a lot of guys that have all the ability and can run around and do things, but when you got 320 pounds running right at your face, all right, what kind of decision are you going to make?
Awesome. Thanks.
Awesome.